Nigeria House Davos 2026.
So to begin our conversation today, I would like to ask my first question to Mr. Umar Ali Mustafa. What would you say, in your opinion, is an entrepreneur's pragmatic approach to the transition that we see in the industry from fossil fuels or traditional fossil fuels to gas and onward to renewable energies?
The few issues that I believe need to be implemented, obviously, is simply maximizing the value chain. Security is a very, very serious situation for any kind of investment. For instance, a lot of institutions would love to come into Nigeria, specifically in Africa, to invest their hundreds of millions of dollars. But
now, in terms of LPG, we have a strong retail network. We have an aggressive ambition to grow into 100 outlets before the end of this year. And I'm proud to say I actually started that business with zero oil and gas experience and just was thrown into the deep dark ocean of oil and gas retail, because that's like the last mile of the entire oil and gas value chain. And we're being very strategic because, as we know, there's the Dangote refinery, which I always say is the biggest disruptor in the downstream energy sector in Nigeria right now. So we've taken a position to consolidate and just focus on servicing the last mile as far as Nigeria is concerned, and our aviation business. So LPG is under the retail Nepal retail business model. We're going to be serving the LPG market, helping people transition from more dangerous high carbon emission sources to cleaner sources.
So I would like to direct my next question to Mr. Chinedu. We want to get a quick reality check on the transition, on this moving train, this just transition. And a reality check is bordering on moving it from just discussions and jots on paper to actual actionable, executable projects.
Some of the challenges that are being faced with the energy transition goals that have been set in Nigeria, a lot of them, from logistics to, for example, for the gas to power, the government has, set up some good laws, but most of these gases are not available to the end users. For the business that we run, we are a chemical solutions company. So we provide chemicals that are used for production, upstream, and also drilling. And one of the things I usually talk about is for the government to come in times like this to create funds that, in essence, would be like a risk capital, where if you fund 8 to 9 business, you obviously do not expect 10 of them to be successful, right? Or 2 or 3 businesses are successful out of the 10, then that would cover for the losses that you've incurred for the 8, as against not investing at all or not taking any risk. So the government needs to come in, create a lot of funds that will be able to take this risk on Nigerian entrepreneurs. Another thing that needs to be improved on is the human capital development. For example, we are trying to build chemical plants in Nigeria, and we literally have to talk to EPC companies in India and China, and these people would have to fly all their engineers all the way from this country.
I want to just ask you guys, in one word, in one sentence, if you could fix just one thing in Africa's energy system.
I'll say, for me, capital, access to capital, and I actually feel like the money's there, the banks have this money, we need the government to find a way to enforce local banks to fund local projects. We need patient capital, and that's the way you'll be able to see the trickle down effect, like the previous speaker said. In the past, we've looked at exploration. There's a lot of indigenous participation in exploration and production and bringing the molecules out of the ground. Typically, we'll export it, but now we need to look to see how we can start to refine, process, and get finished goods from the raw materials we have. especially in the oil and gas industry. With that, you need local indigenous companies. With global capital not particularly available, we need the government to try and find a way to enforce or support through some sort of intervention plan, intervention funding. But like people like us, like for example, we are looking to invest in gas. We're looking to see how we can get into the gas infrastructure market.
Thank you very much. Okay, these have all been very beautiful answers. But before we round up, I would like to give the audience a chance to ask some questions.
Listening to this panel, a lot has been said. And I would like to borrow words from the Secretary General of OPEC saying the energy transition is not just about taking one aspect of the supply, it's also about inclusivity, addition of different forms of energy. Having said that, capital is something that has been said on this panel across the spectrum, and we hope that the African Energy Bank coming together will actually bring a solution to that.
Africa is still a young market and has a large youth population that need to be productive. So for us, we are focusing on CNG, we're focusing on LPG.
The tariffs are just cost reflected now, and like Desiree will probably be able to attest to, the money is down is with the distributors. We wouldn't be able to move the power and then pay the generators, who can then go ahead and pay the gas. So you see, regulation, just that little change in getting the right costs change the entire story. And now you will see over the next few years that there will be a lot more private investment now, because it's become a real proper business case for you to be able to not start to, through PPPs, invest in the transmission network.
What are the major challenges? Why are we pulling back? And one of the very simple but significant problems was the lack of trust in the judicial system. So if something happens to my investment in Nigeria, can the courts protect me? And I wonder, given your background within the sector, how much of this is a problem for you? I think it was Osaho that identified as a local investor. So how much of this is a problem for you?
We have Nigerian problems, African problems, we need African solutions and Nigerian solutions, right? And that comes with, the financiers need to have a certain level of understanding of how we live. And the financing needs to be able to partner with strong local know-how, right? And we need to encourage, somehow, the government needs to encourage local financiers to come in and do that. The capital is there. There are various risks.
So I'll answer that question in a different way. The approach should be partnerships, right? Because if you're trying to solve a problem from the outside in, you have to work with people that are on ground, and that's what Nigeria are advocating for. That's what Nigerian private sector is advocating for, to have partners who have capacity that can come support us.